Hello, I'm Tom Harmer, your town manager. Thank you for joining me today for this edition of Talk of the Town. Today I'm on the very south end of the island, and I'm at Quick Point Nature Reserve, and that's an amenity of the town that a lot of our residents may not even know about. In fact, in our latest citizen survey, 63% of the respondents, the residents in the town that responded, have said that they're not familiar at all or have very little familiarity about this preserve. And so we wanted to share a little bit more information about it with you today. It is an exciting part of the town's overall parks and rec amenities here on the island. And so I'm going to make my way into the preserve, and I'm going to connect up with one of our staff members, and I'll introduce you to him as we go along and talk about what this offers and some of the things that our public can see when they come here. Mark, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for joining me today. This is a beautiful preserve that the town has here. And Mark is a manager with the town and wears many hats. But one of those primary hats is really managing all of our parks and preserves and those types of amenities. So if you think about Durant Park and Bayfront Park and Quick Point and some of our other properties, that's just one of the things that Mark focuses on as a manager. So what a gem for the town. It's great just to walk through here today. The weather's beautiful. The canopies of the trees and the sea grapes really make a nice setting. Let's talk a little bit about the preserve. So if you want, lead me to the platform here where the lagoon is, and I'll ask you a few questions and you can share a lot of information with our residents.
Perfect. Let's see them.
So how big is the preserve?
Approximately 34 acres.
Okay, so it's pretty good size. That's a good size preserve. It's, as I mentioned earlier, right there on the south end of the island. It does have these natural trails that we walk down. How long is the trail?
It's about a third of a mile.
Third of a mile. And as you could see on the sign earlier when we started, this really is a partnership with a number of entities. So the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, the Water Management District, the Sarasota Bay Estuary Program all participated in putting in some of this access and viewing platforms for the public.
Correct, yes.
So where are we at now in the...
We're at the natural lagoon. It's probably been here for over 100 years.
It's really beautiful.
It is.
Yes. So when you come in the park, we call this a preserve. What's the difference between, say, a preserve and Durant Park?
A preserve we kind of leave more as a natural habitat. So there's not a lot of extra amenities. There's not pavilions in it. It's just more of a natural habitat, where Durant is more manicured a little bit in parts, but also has the natural habitat as well.
Okay, very good. So are the rules different in the preserve, or are they the same?
The park rules are pretty much the same throughout all of our parks.
Okay, and I mentioned earlier, I think this is heavily used, but our residents don't often come out here, and sometimes maybe don't even realize it's here. But I know on the weekends, whether I'm out on the water or coming by here, I see a lot of activity here. So I know we do have a lot of visitors that know where it's at and use it regularly. Oh
yeah, definitely. It gets used quite a bit. I mean, we patrol this once or twice a week just on foot, just to make sure everything's going, and I run into people every morning when I'm out here.
So here we are at the natural lagoon. Can you describe the other amenities here? What can a visitor expect when they come through the preserve?
Sure, we have a natural trail, which is about a third of a mile, like I mentioned, and throughout the trail you have these little cutout boardwalks that you can come look at lagoons, look at the water. The trail ends at the very east end with a big kind of fishing area where you can fish, sort of like this dock here. And other than that, it's just a basic walking trail with a few of these cutouts.
And I know there are these trails that were put in partnership with those other agencies. I assume we really want people to stick to those trails and not go into the more natural areas?
Yes, correct. It's, like I said, the trail we maintain is the third of a mile, and you can venture off into the mangroves and area, but we don't encourage that, and that's why we don't have a said trail through it at this time.
Okay, and when I first arrived, there was a limited parking area when you come in for a few cars. I saw there was an overflow sign there. If you can't park at the entrance, where can you park so you can enjoy this?
The additional parking is located just across the street at Overlook Park.
Okay, and Overlook Park is owned by the Florida Department of Transportation?
Correct, yes.
Okay, but they can park and then walk over here and enjoy the amenities here and
For
the
sure.
walk, etc.
For sure.
Okay, very good. Well, I'd like to get a quick tour of some of the other amenities here in the preserve.
Great.
So Mark, we've made it to the end of the trail. It's about a third of a mile that you mentioned, and what a beautiful view of the bay as we're here. So we've talked a little bit about the park, and you have responsibility over all the parks and rec and preserve facilities in the island. And I know we mentioned Durant, we have Bayfront Park, and those are three completely different facilities. Bayfront is very manicured, sports-oriented, multi-purpose, dog park, etc. Durant is somewhat similar to this, and then now here we have this as a preserve. So can you kind of comment on overall the parks in the town that you're responsible for?
Sure, as you mentioned, those three parks, but we also have Bicentennial Park, which is very small, but a manicured park as well. And like you mentioned, but Bayfront is the big park. It has all the amenities, has the sport courts, the dog parks, the kayak launch, children's playground, whereas Durant's a little smaller version, has a playground and some bathrooms, and then you come to Quick Point, which has, you know, just natural habitat as a preserve and has a few walking trails in these boardwalks.
Very good. And I know I'll sneak over to Durant Park for lunch because of the pavilion there. So you can pick up lunch here on the island or brown bag it and go to the pavilion and enjoy time there. And I see a lot of people coming and going, similar to me, either for lunch or just to walk it with them or their dogs. So let's talk about dogs. Are dogs allowed in the preserve here?
No, they are not. Dogs are allowed at Durant on a leash. They're allowed at Bayfront Park on a leash, and then obviously they don't have to be on a leash in the dog park itself.
Okay, and I know we have our rules posted here, but another rule is no alcohol.
Correct.
And that applies to all of our
All
properties. Okay, very good. So if a member of the public or a visitor wanted to get more information about our parks, where would they go? Where would they find that information?
On our website, and you go to Parks and Recreation, and you can click on any park and read the hours, the rules, and the amenities that each one offers.
Okay, very good. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today, and I want to thank our residents and visitors for tuning into this edition of Talk of the Town. I hope you'll take time out to stop by Quick Point and our other properties here on the island. I think they add to the quality of life here on Longboat Key. Thanks again for joining us.